Welcome to Get Your Shit Together, the photographer's podcast where we discuss studio, business, life, and keeping it all in line. I am Kira Derryberry.
And I'm Mary Fisk-Taylor.
Hi, Mary Fisk-Taylor.
Hey, girl. How are you?
I am so great and feeling relaxed, refreshed from our little trip.
I mean, was that fun or what? The only thing I'm jealous of is that you and my friend Terry that was there got to have your girls with you. I was so jealous. Mine is, as you know, across the world. I will get to see her in a week or so that's good. But
across the world being fabulous every time. I mean, I swear, every time I see pictures on her Instagram, I feel like I'm watching a movie. Like, this is a fictional character.
I know she FaceTimed me last night. She's like, "Hey, Mom, I'm in whatever China, and these are the terracotta warriors in person." And I'm like, "Wow, I remember going to the Virginia Museum to see one, no, she is awesome, and my son is too. But that was the only jealous thing I had because we had an incredible time in Virginia Beach. That was so fun. What a luxury that we just made ourselves take a couple days and just chill and laugh and let you get patches of sunshine on you.
Oh my God. The stupid tan lines that I have now. Okay. So ladies,
I'm Irish. So I'm Irish. So you would think I would patch up with my son, but no.
So
Kira.
The ladies out there will understand that sometimes a cute suit trumps a patchy tan line.
It does. It definitely did for you. And you did have some super cute suits. See, me, my age, my stature, my statuesque body, I wear one kind of suit. And I have it in a couple different colors, but it's the same thing because I need as much consistency as I can with my swimsuits and tanning.
I wore 3 different swimsuits, and subsequently I have 3 different kinds of different shades of tan lines.
Yeah.
Everywhere, and it is a comedy.
It's office. So we started calling her Patches because it was just funny because Kira, out of all of us, has the darkest skin. And you would thought would have just tanned right up, and she did. But
I did in spots.
It just kind of it's like a puzzle, really, Kira. You just gotta start putting it together. We had so much fun.
Do you know what else was a treat for me anyway? Was that Jamie photographed Lucy while we were there, and she performed for him in ways I could never get her to do. You try to photograph your own kids is like the worst torture for both parties I can think of.
I agree.
Like she will not participate for me. She's really over it for me now. And by the time I get everything set up and ready to go and get her hair brushed and get her ready, pretty and beautiful and whatever, it's a meltdown.
And they know all your tricks. They know all your tricks. I never used to go. Jamie, almost not everything, but almost everything Jamie would photograph. Because my kids were it just never worked. And we hear this a lot. And you're exactly right. Because it's hard to photograph your own kids. Or, it's certainly, I don't know how you photograph your own family. Like, you do the timer and you run back and forth. Just
I do
ask
that.
a friend to do it. We've got to know enough photographers that would do it. We should do that for each other. Because Lucy looked so pretty in her little yellow dress. I know the images are going to be awesome.
It was so cute. And I got to be in a couple too, which is really special for me because all the pictures that I have of the two of us together, my husband has snapped of us or I have put it on a timer or, isn't it weird how photographers don't really make the time for their own photos sometimes?
It's true. It's true. I'm so glad we did that. Oh, and and hey, belated happy anniversary. It was fun to see that portrait of you and Kevin from Italy.
Yeah. Italy. So everyone thought that I was still in Italy. So I posted that picture from our trip that we took to Italy in April with you guys and you and Jamie and Miss Carol Tchaikovsky on Assist.
Shout out.
Did a photo shoot for us because we had honestly not been photographed together since our wedding. And so it was super epic and we've had the photos, but I saved it for the anniversary to post, and everyone thought that I was in Italy still.
Wow.
So So I've been getting a lot of are you enjoying your trip? And I'm like, well, it was in April.
Yeah.
So
well, maybe because people don't read or people don't pay attention. That happens. I would probably have thought the same thing if I saw it, but it was beautiful. You did a great job on it.
You mean you don't read in detail every post with picture? You don't comb through it with no?
No, because like what I talked about in an episode, a couple episodes ago, is story brand, and people have this much attention span, right? They have like so limited amount of space in their brain, and if you put too much information out there, they shut down and move to the next because there's too
So
many things.
what I should have done was post the picture and just written hashtag best life.
That's exactly what you should have done. Yes. Or yeah, just written with like the digital marker, not in Italy anymore. That wouldn't have taken away from it at all. No,
Or missing Italy.
It looked beautiful, but I'm glad we took some time for ourselves and just kind of just kick back, had a little girl weekend. Except when Jamie came down and took pictures for you and my goddaughter and best friend. But it was awesome. Speaking of pictures, today we'll just talk about light modifiers because Kira loves to talk about light modifiers.
Nice segue.
I know. But I was just thinking about both of the pictures we just talked about, whether we're talking about Italy or we're talking about the beach. I know we use additive light in almost everything we do. That's just how we roll here at Hayes and Fisk Photography in Richmond, Virginia, or wherever we are. But I know we did even in Italy. We had a small softbox on there. I know that even on the beach, we have a small softbox on that light, unless we had to overpower the light, which I don't know if it was your session or another one that we had to use pretty much bare bulb just to try to even things out.
I think that was on the beach.
Yeah,
that we had to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm a kind of a nerd when it comes to studio lighting, not in the math sense. So please, nobody think that for some reason I might be like getting the Sunny 16 rule tattooed on me or anything.
Oh, that was cute how you did that. Someone who shall remain nameless said that's what he was going to do with his next tattoo, and I was like, okay, well,
A friend of ours who may have photographed my daughter is hoping to get this in. Anyway, so no, I'm not in the math sense obsessed with studio lighting, but more in the like the right tool for the job obsessed. So when you guys were out there doing like the portraits of us in Italy, obviously because of travel, we carried something small, and also because of wind, you can't carry something huge anyway because you're going to get blown away. But it was just the right kind of overcast day to be able to add a little bit of light in it and still have control over it, but without it looking like, oh my God, you lit this.
Yeah. So it doesn't look, it's off camera, obviously. We're not talking about on camera flash ever, because I don't particularly like the way that looks. That's not my style, but we will use an additive light almost always. But hey, you're right. We picked the right time of day. And it was a little overcast, which was nice, but we're going to just do that little kiss. We always talk about it like adding, seasoning, and, everybody's taste is a little bit different, whether we're indoors or outdoors, but we use light modifiers almost all the time, unless we're in that horrible situation where we're trying to overpower the sun, and we'll use our bare bulb with just a reflector on it. And I use Profoto lights. We're all Profoto. And that's what we use, but very rarely do we not have some sort of a modifier or diffuser on our light, studio or not. What do you use?
So I use a combination. In studio, I use Palsy Buff, Alien Bees, and Digibees. And they're just easy for me to use, and frankly, they were inexpensive when I started the studio up. The other thing I use on location, I use Godox 8200s with me most often, which I've found, or a speed light occasionally. But I found that those 8200s are, one, they have that lithium battery on them, so it's really easy for me to take on location. They're small. I have this backpack now that I'm carrying around everywhere, and I can throw everything in there. They fit all of the MagMod stuff that I carry with me sometimes, so I have like the magnetic system that goes on top of it that works for speedlights too. And so that stuff works really well for it. And also I have a collapsible 36-inch softbox that I take on location that's really easy to travel with those as well. So those are my two go-tos that I use for lighting. For a while there, I was really struggling with not really knowing. I was just using whatever I could get my hands on. Because I didn't have a lot of money. Like
it's
I said,
expensive. It's very expensive.
I had used through a friend, like a 2x3 Palsy Buff collapsible softbox. This was probably like 7 years ago. And then I had maybe one other. I had some giant like off-brand softbox. I don't even know. I don't think it's a real brand. I think it's like some Amazon brand or something. I had this like giant 5-foot softbox. And so I was in the studio. I only had those two things. And so I was in studio using those two things. And I kept getting the worst spectral highlights on people's faces, you know? Like I thought, I honestly thought it was because I was working with really cheap stuff. You know, so I was like, well, it's because of the quality, you know, when I get money and when, you know, this will all go away once I can upgrade to the nicer stuff. I went to a workshop. I went to a Joel Grimes workshop, actually. And I was all prepared for him to tell me, you know, I was like saving up money. I was all prepared to go buy a bunch of stuff, like after the workshop to see what he used. And he pulls out an Alien Bee.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you know, because I know he uses like top brand, you know, he uses like Westcott and he uses Profoto and uses all those things. And he totally uses them a lot. But for travel sometimes for these workshops, because they're just a little easier to travel with, he brought the Alien Bee. And his point was light is light. And he pulls out all the same equipment that I'm using. And then I spend a week learning from him and figure out that I'm getting this kickback because of the position of my light. And not because I was using something cheap. And it was just one of those moments. I came home and shot some of the best work of my life.
Oh, wow.
You know, like some loan images.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Joel Grimes is an amazing photographer, portrait, commercial. Look him up. If you've never seen his work, super, super nice man, but incredibly talented. But he's exactly right. And, you know, photography is about lighting. I mean, and of course, and everything else. But if we really want to go back to the roots of it, it's about painting with light and using light, you know, and creating beautiful images. And we forget that. And you're exactly right. You know what? Yes, we use Profoto and we love it because of the consistency. And that is something I do notice between brands that I like to use. You know what? I recommend to have all the same type of lights. I think where people do sometimes run into issues is if they use a Palsy Buff for a main and then a Alien Bee for a kicker, and then they have a off-brand, you know, fill or whatever it is, however your lighting is set up, you're going to have some inconsistency in color. That's the only thing I've ever noticed. And we've tested a lot of lights, and we used to use Photogenic. We had Palsy Buff when we first opened. My volume studios, of course, we use Alien Bees because we're out in schools and those things bounce like dimes. I mean, I'm not going to bring out Profoto lights to those. But if we use the same brand, and we're consistent, then we're going to get the same color temperature. And that's the only difference I've noticed is color temperature. And then power, obviously. I mean, you know, there's going to be some issues there, but light is light. It is. You just have to know how to use it properly.
Yeah. And, you know, bells and whistles that are included with the nicer stuff. I mean, with that the Profoto stuff, I know that you can control, you know, with the remote, you know, easily, quickly, consistently. There is a way to do that with Alien Bees and Palsy Buff. They have an additional device that I'm actually going to get. Yeah. Because I'm kind of, you know, I'm not ready to upgrade all my whole lighting system. I'm pretty happy with the Paul Buff stuff, and I know I can use this. But the other thing you're going to get alongside the color consistency is recycle power.
Exactly.
Is a bit better. So if you're doing something high speed or shooting quickly, rapidly, you know, those higher end lights like Profoto are going to be super consistent.
Yeah, I could go out, you know, in the bright sun and overpower it and get a beautiful image, or if, you know, because I can, you know, I have that flexibility, which I don't have with some of the other lights. I mean, we love and the recycle time is amazing. So there's just a lot of reasons why we love our lights, but we use Alien Bees in our studio for seniors and volume. And we bought Godox actually at our state convention in Virginia this year, and we're using them for our outdoors for our seniors because we need to be fast and it needs to be portable. It's not too heavy. My senior photographer, you know, that does most of the seniors, Jessica, she can't be carrying around that huge Profoto light, and plus they fall. She's not, they fall. You know, and so I'd rather her bounce a Godox than bounce one of my, you know, Profotos.
That is one of the things is lights fall.
They fall. we fall, but you know, we're a little more conscientious about it because we buy and pay for them. But you know. Speaking of that, one of the other things, now that we're into a gear discussion, one of the things that I use with those Godox, those 8200s, is a Bowens mount for it to slide through. Because before, instead of those
now I'm going to lose my mind on what things are called, but you know, the thingy that you stick the light on and it's a little neck and it has like a cold shoe on it and you slide it on and what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the
mount,
thingy,
the light mount for
the
the mount.
mount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got it.
no, but there's an actual term.
You know, we're just going to call it the light mount.
Light mount, sure. Okay. So that thing, those things are really, really, really fragile. And so if your light falls over, I've broken so many of those things. When I switched over to this Bowens mount one that I think it's called an S mount. I'm not sure. But when I switched over to that one, if it falls over, I'm not worried about the neck breaking. I'm not worried about snapping off the tripod or whatever. And in the show notes somewhere, I'm going to list what these thingies are.
Good idea. And what they're actually really called. Maybe
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah. Actually, you know what we'll do when this goes out is I'll give you a list of my lighting gear too, and you can Mary's toolbox and Jamie, Kira's.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, we should share.
I mentioned I'm not a technical shooter. I just like the thingies that I use that work well for the light thingies.
I think by the sheer fact that we use things like light mountain thingies, it's self-explanatory that we're not super technical. We shouldn't say that because we actually are. I mean, I actually am. I use a light meter. I use a tripod. I'm very, I'm very drilled in on that type of stuff. But when I start trying to talk about it, I sound like I'm speaking like a 4-year-old, like, or worse. That's insulting to 4-year-olds. I just, lose my mind. It's just something I've done for so long, but it's still hard for me. I mean, I'm not, I did not come from this world to be a photographer. You did. See, I came from a different space. And
you're looking at my face right now because I was absolutely right. It's the S-type Bowen speed light adapter.
Oh, okay, good. You looked that up.
See, I looked it up.
And you were right.
I was right. I'm not an idiot after all.
Well, still a lot of podcasts left. We'll see how that goes.
Oh my God. Okay. So some of the other stuff I use in studio that are my go-tos. I like a large light modifier to create like kind of broad, soft light.
Very soft, yeah.
Right. So I have a 86-inch umbrella that I use in the studio, and I have the room for it. And a lot of studios don't have the room for that to be able to get it up high enough. But luckily I do. I also use a 47-inch softbox as another go-to. And then as far as I use strip lights for strip boxes with egg crate grids on them for my kickers most often. And sometimes I take those off. But I'm pretty consistent with using those things. And then I use the Jamie Hayes method of high key in the studio, where I use bounce flash to bounce right into the ceiling to get that nice white even background. And that is a Hayesism.
It is a Hayesism. It is his claim to fame. It's what we're going to put on his tombstone probably. So we use strip lights when we're doing something more artsy or what have you, and I don't know how else to put it. I mean, something that we want a little more drama. If I'm working with different skin types, I might do that to get that luminosity to the skin or speculars that I want. But basically, we use a 4x5 main. I use a 4x5 softbox on my main. On my fill, I can use an umbrella. I have a 72-inch starfish that I really like because, like you, I like soft light. Now, I'm mostly photographing children in the studio or black and white or Tim Walden style relationship portraiture. So, and most of my stuff is outdoors. So when I'm in the studio or even a headshot, whatever, I want a ratio, but I like a softer ratio. I don't normally go for a very dramatic ratio from light to shadow. You know what I'm saying? Because usually my moms will go, why is the left side of her face so dark? And, because it's artistic and it's, so no, my moms don't like that. They like a more even light. And whereas I don't want flat lighting, obviously, I want some dimension. I want a ratio there. I don't usually go for a really strong ratio. And we use those two bounce lights on every single thing, low key, high key, mid key, whatever. I use that because I get a consistent lighting across my background, and I don't have room for a background light because we're in a small home studio. So I can't, if you put a background light in, where a lot of people use a background light, right, to get that lighting even across the background, whatever key you're in. The problem is that I have to digitally remove it every time because it shows in the picture. So, and then we have a little hair light in the ceiling that's literally just a eye bulb, really just a bulb screwed in that, you know, goes off sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, you know. I think we have bounty paper towels over it because it needs to be diffused a little bit. But just like you, we like a nice soft diffused light, almost like a window light almost look, but you know, it's consistent because I don't have a window there. And, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, overcast or sunny or whatever. I have consistent lighting and I can match. I do a lot of matching. So if I'm matching a headshot or I'm matching a child's portrait, you know, because the second child comes in, I know exactly how I lit it because I don't change my lighting very much.
Because you did it the same. Mm-hmm. You know, what's funny is when I moved to this new studio, one of the big selling points was that I had this massive storefront window that I'll be able to use for natural light. And then I'm finding that I actually much prefer to be able to control the light and create natural looking light.
Agree.
With that large light source. Yeah. And I just keep those curtains closed all the time.
I know. I've
never used it.
We used to have one at our senior studio and we very rarely used it because same thing. It's inconsistent. And then you know, if you have anything reflecting into it, you're going to get maybe, you know, because my beautiful big window I had at my other studio had a red they put a red storage barn. So I'd get this nice red reflection up in all the skin. You know, I because I do so much, like I like my work to be consistent. So I know that if I'm in charge of my lighting, my modifier, if I'm in charge of that, I can consistently create the portraits on a daily basis and whether it's this year or 4 years from now, I can pretty much guarantee I can do the same thing. Because I've just kind of nailed down on it. Now, the good news is because we have so many awesome modifiers and different things out there, I can take one of my bounce lights, which what we mean by that is I have two lights at the back at my background that angle up. They're on this, they're hang on the wall, but they angle up, but they bounce from the ceiling. So essentially what we're doing is making the ceiling a huge softbox. Is what it boils down to. And I can angle one of those and put a strip on it and create, if I'm doing a maternity or, you know, especially if I have somebody that I want to get the skin and all the like texture, I can switch it around, you know, but on a regular basis, I can roll through a day and consistently hit it because I guess I don't play around with it as much. And maybe because I do this to make money, not to make beautiful lone prints, which we've already discussed several times.
Hey, just for the record, I started very strong in image competition.
Me too.
I have not been there since. So let's.
Yeah. Well.
One of the consistency thing that you're mentioning. Is so right now. I'm kind of in this transitional phase in the studio where I'm still I have a lot of light stands and they're driving me crazy. You know, like I want to get everything off the floor. So my next big project is moving to a rail system. That's what I want to do. Or a modified rail system where it's like half rail, half fixed.
Yep.
You know, in a couple of places. I've already got a couple of things in place that are mounted to the wall, like boom arms and things that are already fixed in there. But not because I want to be able to still move things around and experiment sometimes. But like you, I want to be able to roll through the day consistently and just get there are days where I have 5 or 6 headshots in a day and they might have different backgrounds and they might have different moods, but generally the lighting is kind of the same.
Exactly.
You know, and I mean, given 1 or 2 light, you know, turn one off, turn one on, that sort of thing, you know? And so I would really love to be I've already got, you know, automation with my background roller system that I've got installed. So I've got, you know, I can change things out really quickly, but there's no reason why I should really have to have these stands all over the place all the time, just kind of getting in my way. And in fact, what happens is they kind of move accidentally as I'm doing different things.
Yep.
And so I'm actually having to spend time doing another test shot and just making sure everything is where it needs to be in between sessions, that I feel like I'm not being efficient.
No.
on.
Yeah.
So that's
So we, so I have 2 studios, which I know I've mentioned, but our, on my main portrait studio, the Hayes and Fisk studio, we do not have a rail system because, quite frankly, it's a spare bedroom that we took a wall out so we can back up another like 6 feet. But it is tiny. A rail system would look ridiculous.
I've seen it in pictures.
It's sad. But we do use those Kupo stands. So they have a very small base, right? They have a very small footprint, but they roll around and it has the 5 wheels. So I can roll my main and my fill to one side or the other. They pretty much stay pretty nailed down. And then my, you know, bounce lights are on the wall. So that's it. You know, I don't, that's the only two lights I really need to move around. It would be my main. I do work with a main and a fill. So those are on those cupola stands. Now at my senior portrait studio, we do have a rail system because we have a bigger space and we work in a round. So I'll have a senior maybe come in and we may do the senior portrait background. And then I want to use the gray wall, or I want to use a mid-key background, or I want to use the fun, you know, whatever. I can kind of just like shooting around. So my rail system allows me to move my to move my main light depending on what background I'm using, and then I do have my fill on one of those rolling stands. So it's a hybrid in that respect. And then I do have on each corner a bounce light that makes my ceiling a huge softbox. So that gives me that overall exposure, right? So that gives me that overall, and you know I love F11. That gives me that overall F11 on any background, because I have them metered, and if I turn those on and they just create this beautiful overall exposure. It's flat. If I just worked with that, I'd have beautiful flat light. Now I don't want flat lighting, so that's why I'm going to pepper in with my main and my fill. But and I use a 4x5 on both of those in my senior studio because I have the space for it. And actually, I'm sorry, it's a 4x5, and then I actually have a little smaller one on my fill, or I have a starfish on my fill light. We just changed that, but I have the space for it, and I can move it back more, so I can, or forward, and it just depends on your space, you know, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, we use pretty much the same method even in our senior studio. It's just I have a different space, but the rail system is a lifesaver here.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the goal that I'm shooting for here. I've only been in here about a month and a half, plus a lot of travel. But I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 potential wall spaces that I can use in the room. Because the room is kind of an odd shape. It's like a long room, but it's got little corners here and there that are unexpected. But I can shoot into a couple of corners. So that's when I eventually get this rail system installed. With the help of probably several people. Once I get that installed, that's exactly what I'm hoping to do, is exactly like in your senior studio. And then if I want to add, you know, like I've got a wheeled stand, and I kind of want to have any stand that I have in the studio on wheels so that it's just easy to move around. But the other thing that I was thinking about that makes this beneficial is, you know, I have a lot of kids in the studio like you do, you know, and these cords and these stands, and they, you know, 2 and 3-year-olds, I need it to be safe.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, you get a kid in there, you get, God forbid, a dog and a kid in there. It's like, you know, it could be disastrous. So we try to keep as much off the floor as possible. And, you know, the cupola stands are amazing. I love those, but I think, doesn't Bowen makes one as well? That's a roll around stand.
Manfrotto.
Manfrotto. There's a couple different brands out there, you know. And we always work on a tripod, so I have a roll around Titan stand. Those are like godsend because I can move up or down depending on who I'm photographing and what angle I prefer to photograph them, and it rolls around, and then I can push it all in the corner. And so if it's a sales day or a work day, it just is neatly put aside. And then I'm going to schedule myself to be doing sales or consultations or my office work that I need to do. So that works. And that's, you know, that's studio lighting for us. And we're actually talking about the same thing. I hope that the takeaway here is that, you're using different brands than I am. But we're saying the same things. We're using modifiers and we're using them for consistency. And then we're also using them to add the drama or the excitement or energy to the image, depending on the subject, right?
Exactly.
And then we're trying to create repeatable systems so that when we have to put that photographer hat on, we can walk in that camera room and do our job, create beautiful image. And it's so important because I can walk in the camera room and be engaging with my client and not worrying about my lighting. Because that I can't be right brain, left brain. I cannot do that at the same time. Like I'm not that. Well, none of us really can, honestly. But maybe there's like some superhumans out there that can. But I want to be engaging with my client because I want it to show off in the sales room. I don't want to be tinkering with lights and worrying about lights and moving lights and looking at the back of my camera. I want to be right there, looking at them and making them happy, so they'll buy more from me.
Yeah, when you're fiddling with your lights, you're losing moment, especially with these kids. You're losing time with the kids. And you know, when we got into this year, the word that I had in my mind for my business for this year was efficiency.
Yeah.
and this is part of it.
Yeah.
That moving from the old studio, which was not efficient, it was huge. It was way too much space for me too. And because it was so much space, I was just like all over it was basically a tornado of studio. Like I would
Yep.
just shoot on this wall and maybe this wall and maybe over here and leave a huge mess here. And that room's messy. So I'll just shoot over. And it was just not efficient at all. And this year I'm getting systems in place exactly like you're talking about, to make my business more efficient, because it's really fun to play around.
Oh, it is.
Like, it's really fun to play around. But I've reached a point in my business where I need to make special time to go play around on my own.
Yeah.
but I need to be much more consistent and not playing around so much when it comes to shooting. So I've established several different styles that my clients are liking and asking for. And so I have light setups that are for those styles. And I have more time to focus on getting like real emotion and expression out of the clients because of it. So that's the end of the day. That's the goal, right?
Well, and when you say that, you streamline yourself for success. And I love what you just said, Kira, and it's exactly what we've done as well. But you have created a couple different styles, which means you've created a couple different brands in your market area that people will seek out. If you do every single thing, nobody knows who you are. But if they're like, oh, look at that. That's that really beautiful gray, moody. That's got to be a Kira Derryberry. Or, oh, look at that. I totally know that's one of Kira Derryberry's. That is when, like, I have chill bumps. Like, that is when we're like, you made it. Because now you have established yourself as the expert in that, whether you are or aren't, it doesn't matter. But you really honing in on a couple different main characters, so to speak, main looks, is what makes us more successful. Yeah, we can do all the other stuff, but why would we when people really want to know what you do and who you are? And that's why they're going to call you.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted, like, from the beginning. I wanted, because the market is frankly flooded with photographers. There's a lot of photographers, and I have no problem with that, because I know, and I hope anyway, that my clients are coming to me because they want to work with me, and your clients are coming to you because they want to work with you because of what you provide them. And not only in service, but in the look and style. This is a Hazen Fisk portrait.
That's why we like brands. That's why I pick brands. I like the way we were talking about the beach. I like the way Vince Komodo, like, those shoes fit me well. I seek that brand out. I mean, I understand it's a little bit different, but I usually like the way they look, the comfort, they fit my foot. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we seek out brands that the style suits us. Well, we're businesses. That's exactly what we should be doing. And I love how we could turn a technical podcast into a business lesson. Does that make me happy or what?
I know your face right now. You are thrilled.
Do you know what else makes me really happy? Are some of the awesome people that are reaching out and like giving us a shout out and talking to us.
Man, me too. I want to read some of those because they super, super get me.
Yeah, I'll start. My friend Kay Reed, who's right here from Virginia, and she's awesome. She just opened a studio in the past couple of weeks. So congratulations, Kay. She's a Virginia PPA member. She sent a little note, and she's like, oh my gosh, I just listened to your first episode and it made me go out. And my win is that I did a 30-minute walk today while listening to it. And I was like, you go, Kay. Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh man. Okay. And then we have Daphne Blunt, who has become one of our super fans. I think she has listened to multiple episodes and sent us a couple of really sweet letters. She writes to us, as I sit here editing 140 ballerina portraits where I am the studio photographer. I listened to this and just about cried. I needed this so bad. I am the worst about not celebrating myself. I'm so hard on myself. I'm struggling with negativity about my work and the time I want to spend to edit. I do understand on these sessions it's high volume and I can't afford to do so much more than straighten and crop. But besides the dance studio, I just needed to hear everything that you said. And thank you for sending that.
I know. I have chill bumps listening to it again. And she went on just to say that she's going to celebrate more wins. She's going to make an effort to find more wins. And I know we kind of are beating that into the ground, but we love hearing about it. I love it when you guys send us emails and messages about it. It just makes me so happy because we don't do enough of that. And also I love the fact that she said she had taken your class at imaging. That's right. P.S. Where are you going to be next?
I am going to be in Louisiana.
Ooh,
actually.
New Orleans.
I am going to.
jelly. I'm so
I'm
jealous.
I'm going to be at PPLA's conference, Southern Pro Exposure, and that's going to be July 19th through 23rd in the French Quarter.
I'm
That's
so jealous.
that's a really bad French Quarter accent. I want to say
yeah,
French.
you sound nothing like Ralph Ramagera. I don't even know what you're doing. Where
I don't even know.
you're going to be there then July 19th? I wish
Uh-huh.
I could go. I love New Orleans. Some of my best friends live down there. I love to go and visit. Well, right after that, I'm going to be in Maryland, right up in Columbia, Maryland, right up 95 for me.
Not too far.
Yeah, we're going to be judging. Jamie Hayes and I are going to be judging and speaking up there. It's going to be the July 24th and 25th. It's an amazing group up there. If you're in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, Delaware, Virginia area, really a nice lineup and a super, super nice group. Julie, Kim, and the group up there just always so gracious. And I'm excited. I'm going to do a business program. And Jamie's actually I think the first time, I think he's going to do a black and white fine art program, like from his fellowship.
Really?
Yes.
I have been waiting for him to offer something like that. He had the most beautiful fine art portraiture for his ASB fellowship.
All nudes, which is Jamie was not nude, but the people were nude. I don't know, maybe Jamie. No, I'm just kidding. But fine art nudes, which you don't normally think of when you think of with my business partner Jamie. You don't usually think of that with his, but gosh dang, they were beautiful. Talk about controlling light. Oof.
Yeah, that is a real study in light control.
Very much
for sure.
Because he wanted to do as little artwork as possible. So he used lighting to make everybody look good. And I mean everybody. All sizes, all different people. It was awesome.
Imagine that.
Yeah. We have other things coming up, I'm sure. I'm sure you guys, what's going on in Florida? Do you guys have y'all have a summer convention, don't you?
We don't have a summer convention. Actually, our Florida photography workshops just ended and was super successful. We had some amazing photographers down for that to teach. Now what's coming up is Focus, which is our convention, our annual convention.
Yeah.
And that is coming up in September. I am getting the date. And if you are an FPP member, Florida Professional Photographers member, that conference is included in your membership. So it's really a steal. It is going to be September 27th through 29th in Orlando, Florida. So if you're in the Florida area, or if you're in Georgia, or if you're in Alabama, or if you just want to come down to vacation and go to Disney,
it's nice.
You should come.
I was there last year. Come. Is it in the same place?
Same place.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And P.S. There's a Shake Shack right there, which was a very exciting thing for me. So we don't have one in Virginia.
Yeah, it's attached to that Florida Mall, and there's all kinds of goodies in there too.
We enjoyed it. We had a great time in Florida last year. Well, speaking of which, in Virginia, same thing. If you're a Virginia PPA member, which I obviously highly recommend, our summer seminar and convention are free. And August 9th through 12th, I think. August 9th through 12th, right in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is super convenient to the Northern Virginia, D.C., Maryland area as well. We have our summer seminar. I'm speaking. We have some amazing local Virginia talent that's going to be doing painter and landscape. But we have Boo Ray Perry coming in and giving.
What?
Yes, he'll be doing 2 programs here in Virginia. So gracious, so sweet to do that. Fly in and be doing some awesome programs about some basic, using your camera and basic posing and lighting, which we're excited about. And then Richard Sturdivant is coming on up from Tennessee, formerly of Texas, and giving a creative program, and then PPA extra day, PPA merited continuing education class, crushing the box, and he's going to spend a day going over all his cool Richard Sturdivant kind of stuff.
I feel compelled to do a Richard Sturdivant impression, but I absolutely will not.
I can't. If our friend Jen Hellinger was on this, she
would be able to do it.
Killing it. That was terrible.
Killing it. He's killing it now. Was that good? I
think you kind of got close. You got way closer than me. Oh,
Mary Fitztaylor took my class one time.
She's killing it. Yep. Yeah, we love Richard. Little stirred bear. He's awesome. Oh.
And you got the Boo Ray Perry. So you guys are rocking it.
Yeah, girl. We don't. Yeah, we're yes, Virginia. We roll. I just call all my friends and say, "Hey, would you come, please?" and do something fun. And, no, they have great sponsors, and Miller's is bringing Boo Ray in, which we're so grateful for, and Sturdivant Tools is bringing Richard Sturdivant in, so we're grateful. And then us Virginia folks are going to go and give away some time, and that's going to be a great group, a lot of fun.
Well, I am excited for it. All right, so I feel like we should wrap this up. You guys can follow us on Instagram at Get Your Shoot Together. You can follow us on Facebook at Get Your Shoot Together. You can email us and email us just about anything you want at girl@getyourshoottogether.com. And you can subscribe to us on all of the podcast platforms now. We made it.
Yay, iTunes finally approved us.
And also leave us some reviews, because that's actually helps our ratings and helps us get more followers and helps us give you more content. And feel free to send us anything you want to hear about, because we would love to add that to our vast list of topics that we've got going on right now. But we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, y'all.